Explosions and extravagant visuals aren't the only way to use effects in film. Lighting gags, like the flickering of a TV and the approaching of a car's headlights through a window, can also be implemented as an effect. There are many ways to use light to convey things we might not have the budget for. The nighttime ambience of a car interior and passing streetlights. A small fire glowing into the woods. Lighting gags allow us to emulate the structure and movement of light. And they can even be used as a more abstract tool. Today, we can find a variety of effects on light fixtures, but we can also create effects manually. In this shot, we used a mix of both. To start with, we simply turned on a lampshade, Nanlite Pavo Bulb 10C inserted to create a base for our nighttime interior. A second light was added, motivated by this lamp. This was a Pavo Slim 120C with softbox and grid, set to a similar colour temperature as the lamp, placed to our subject's left. A third light was used to recreate the effect of a flickering TV. We used the Pavo Slim 240C and softbox to create this lighting gag, utilising the 240C's built-in effects, set to a cooler colour temperature to contrast a little with our warmer house light. On top of this, we added a little extra flicker in post-production for some more randomness to our TV light. Our next effect was much more DIY. A Forza 60C, set to a warmer colour temperature, was turned on, turned up, and swung around the room, stopping at a small mirror. This created the effect of an approaching car from outside the window, the increase of intensity and the bounce from the walls emulating its approach, with the mirror helping to recreate the car's headlights, shining directly into the room as the car stops outside. Using a mirror makes this feel more realistic, increasing the apparent distance of the light, placing it technically outside of the window. In the car scene, we used a technique known as poor man's process, a nickname for emulating the look and feel of a car in movement, using techniques like back projection, car shaking, and lighting gags to sell the effect. In this case, we used a cheaper projector playing a previously shot video of a passing street at night. This was projected onto a small 4x4 frame of white material, placed just outside the car windows. Due to the lower budget projection setup, with the projection only covering a small amount of space in the background, we opted to shoot our subject in a close-up. Inside the car, we used a gridded PavoTube 15C2, set up on the passenger side dashboard and set to a green hue. This gave us a dim car interior ambience, replicating light that may be coming from screens and accent lighting around the dashboard. We then added two PavoTube 30X2s, gridded and boomed above the car, set to the process pixel effect at a cooler colour temperature, mimicking modern streetlights passing over the car as it drives down the street. A fourth light was added. This was also a PavoTube 30X2, to the right of our subject in the driver's seat, also set to the process pixel effect, at a very warm colour temperature, primarily facing the seat to add a very subtle passing orange light to the face. It was turned by hand occasionally to create an orange flare into the camera lens, adding a random element to the lighting, and suggesting the passing by of other lights, perhaps from cars or environment, to further mimic the movement of the car on a road, we shook the vehicle relatively gently and randomly from the front of the car. With the camera held steady on a sandbag in the car window, our shot moves with these shakes, replicating how the camera would pick up movements when fixed to an actual moving car. All of these elements combined emulate the effect of a moving car at night. Back projection is an imperfect way to do this, especially on a budget, since it can be difficult to achieve proper black levels. In this case, we didn't have the necessary flags to block the streetlights from spilling onto our material, which raised the black levels on the projection. But provided your lighting gags and car movement are considered, it's an imperfection that should go unnoticed by your audience. For the scene at the woods, we actually exaggerated the effect this small fire was having on the environment. And again, we used both built-in lighting effects and also manual hand movement to create the flickering of the fire. For the wider shot, we shot on the edge of a hill and placed two PavoTube 30x2s set to the fire effect mode with slightly different parameters slightly down this hill, below the fire, out of view of the camera. We matched the color temperature of the tubes to the fire by eye, and again, added some extra flicker to the image in post-production to create some more randomness to the flickering. In the close-up of our character taking a ring from an envelope, we actually shot on a different day in a different location. A Forza 60C reflector dish attached, set to an extremely warm color temperature, bounced from a 4x4 frame of muslin, with the wiggling of fingers in front of the light emulating the flicker of the fire on the material. This allowed us to save time, since we didn't need to build another small fire, and we were able to achieve a consistency between the wide with the fire and the close-up without. For the final close-up of our character turning around to a strange red glow, our 4x4 frame of bleached muslin was set up behind camera, Forza 60C reflector dish attached, firing a splash of red into it. This was set to a glow effect. In front of him, off camera, we used hand movement once again to create the flicker of fire in front of our Forza 60C's reflector dish, this time with a slightly more gentle movement. Although we have newer light fixtures to make things easier for us when creating effects, lighting gags can actually be very simple to achieve on all budget levels, with an understanding of how light works and what makes light appear a certain way. Episodes of Lighting for Cinema are extended and released early over on my Patreon, along with extra videos and access to the Discord server.